Just to be clear with you, I never claimed to be perfect. I say my eyeliner's on fleek, but that's just tongue-in-cheek. I never claimed to be finished. Actually, I'm far from done. Just to be clear with you, I'm a work in progress, of a plan not to regress, in fact, one for success. A triumph over stress and an intercession in the midst of my mess came a God whose love I confess. Before I go further, let me tell you of the beginning of hope. Listen, because the story is dope. Before the world was set in motion, my existence was planned. Not by a magical potion, but by God's crafty hand. God created all of us good, but God's sovereignty was not understood. How could it have been? We are only human, and our Creator is God. Knowing all there is to know, and yet had more love to show. I needed this love because it takes patience to be a work in progress. I messed up so many times. I made mistakes that hurt me, and because of these, I could never be living with God the rest of eternity. This is where stress and worry, sadness and fear, pain, regret, a troubling friend, bitterness and suffering, death and dying, where it all came from the bad that I had done. But God couldn't take it. God wasn't okay with it. God made me because God wanted me, and that's what will be. The sorrow and loss that I had made, only by God could be paid. This wouldn't be a quick task. God's own life is what my choices asked. Everyone wants the work to be done quickly. Everyone's looking for some hack, but I'll leave the magic beans to Jack. Because this isn't made up or some story. This was done so I can know God's glory. Jesus was beaten, whipped, muddied, and made bloodied. Torturous things that made my stomach churn actually bruised him and made his skin burn. Jesus died on a cross, but it wasn't my loss. My bad choices were the cost of God's perfect Son, who died that day to take my sins away. But it wasn't just one day of pain. For 3 days, Jesus lay slain, but then Jesus raised from the tomb. Just to be clear with you, Jesus was perfect. He was the only one who could do it. Jesus raised from the dead as both human and part of the Godhead. Death stood no chance against God's victory dance. God's only Son hit the quan. Just to be clear with you, this was good. Now God's love can be a little more understood. Now there's so much more we can be a part of. Like Jesus, we can now rise above, all because of God's great love. Just to be clear with you, this doesn't make us act perfect. We'll still mess up when we get ticked. Just to be clear with you, we're still a work in progress. Just now we have a hope for real success. This progression silences depression. It's a profession of aggression against oppression, all through the impression of the Holy Spirit, by whom ultimate love is made explicit. Just to be clear with you, God's plan is perfect, so why don't you become a part of it? To all, God's love is a perfect fit. I love you too, God, just say it. Then discover a life where you're never alone. You can talk to God as if on the phone. Just to be clear with you, you too are a work in progress. But God's love is perfect, and that makes it well worth it.